Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to my channel, Zeno's Wisdom. You know that kind of guy that can walk into a room, he can pretty much talk to anybody, and women tend to naturally gravitate to him and lean in, right? This is not luck. This is what's called energetic and conversational charisma. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today is that this is not something you're born with. You might have seen somebody like this that kind of walks into the room and everybody looks at them and you think, wow, like I wish I was like that. Well, you can be because this is something you can learn. In fact, most things in life are learned skills. So I want you to stick around because today I'm going to be sharing with you four very practical tips. Okay? Plus a few secret little hacks that are going to help you build magnetic conversational charisma that will connect you with women online and offline. And once you understand these things, and I know you're going to understand them once you finish watching this video, you're not going to feel stuck wondering why connection conversations aren't quite gelling. And I know that that is an issue that many people have when they start dating again after a long-term relationship, a divorce, a separation. You know, you've been through some traumatic things in your life. Breakups are not easy things to go through. And maybe that's taken some of the pep out of your conversational ability. Well, I want to re-inject that back into your life so you can really connect with women that you could truly see having a future with. What I don't want to see happening is men that are getting back out there dating and getting their hopes up, but then things fizzle out in the very first conversation, or they fizzle out in the first two exchanges on a dating app because you're going to get exhausted. You're going to keep trying and things aren't going to connect, and you're going to wonder what's going on. You might even be tempted to blame the world or women for the bad luck that you're having. But sometimes it has to do with just lacking a bit of conversational charisma because this is what's actually going to connect you to women. Welcome to this channel. My name is Kimberly. I support good-hearted men to attract deeply loving relationships and keep those relationships. And I'm excited today because the day that you're going to be watching this video is one day before my birthday. My birthday is tomorrow. And I wanted to put this episode out because I wanted to give you guys kind of a gift. I want to give you some practical things to really think about that can really change how you talk and connect to women. Because I know that, this is maybe something you haven't done for many years, especially if you're dating again after a divorce. Maybe you haven't really had to chat up a new woman in this way for many, many years, and so this skill feels a little bit dusty. Well, let's blow off those cobweb guys so that you can really start connecting with women and move into having the relationship you desire. And then you don't have to worry about dating anymore because you won't be dating. You'll be in the relationship that makes you feel fulfilled and happy and satisfied. And that's really what I want. I think we need more. We need more happy relationships in this world. Okay, so I'm going to share four practical tips today, a few secret hacks. You're going to stick around for those. Those are going to come through at the end that are really going to help you build this conversational charisma that connects with women online and offline. And again, once you know these things, you're not going to feel so stuck trying to connect to women online, or let's say on a date, or a woman that maybe you are talking to, not just, the first approach, but a woman that maybe you're sitting down having lunch with, or you're really having that opportunity to get into conversation. Now, what the heck is conversational charisma? Like, I just made up this world word, right? Well, conversational charisma is, guys, it's not about being the funniest guy in the room. It's not about being the flashiest guy in the room. It's not about any of those things. Conversational charisma has everything to do with making women feel something when they talk to you, not learn something, feel something. Okay? Not learn something, feel something. Women get connected to men when they feel connected to men. They feel comfortable. They feel alive. Something opens up inside of them. So, conversational charisma, guys, this is hugely important, is about making her feel something when she talks to you. And I'm going to share how you can achieve that. So, if you want women to feel drawn to you, okay, it's going to start here. Now, I'm going to share 4 tips, but here is the first one. Tip number 1, lead your conversations with curiosity, never with a resume. Okay? Now, when I say this, many men that are dating again after a divorce or separation or long term relationship, naturally, those are very traumatic things. Going through that is a very big life stressor. It's a very, very big change. And oftentimes, it's going to knock your confidence down a little bit. Maybe you're going to feel a little insecure about certain things, and you're going to feel like you're probably carrying around this kind of ball and chain of baggage, the weight of this failed relationship. And so that might make you feel when you're out there dating women that I have to convince women that I'm not just this mess or this guy that's been discarded or a loser. You might be thinking these harsh things about yourself. And so what you do is you try to convince women that you're a great catch because you say, well, I own my job and I'm an entrepreneur and I travel when I can and I have all these things and these are my hobbies and this is all the stuff that I do. And she's going to go like, okay, like that's great, but I'm here to connect with you, not for you to try and prove to me that you're worth connecting to. You have to behave in the world, men, like you already are worth connecting to. And so when most men go out on early dates or early on, they kind of list off their achievements almost as if they're interviewing for the job of this woman's boyfriend. I've been in finance for 20 years. I own my home. I travel when I can. I used to play tennis, right? Impressive? I don't know. Memorable? Certainly not. And what I want to highlight here is that many of my clients, have gone on first dates and they start kind of rattling off these things that they've done in their past life. I see this all the time. I see this in dating profiles. I see all the other things that happened before you got to where you are today. But I'm wondering what you do today. So when this happens, whether I see this on my clients' dating profiles or I see this in their behavior and conversational skills on first dates, women are going to be, you know, polite, or some women are going to be polite about this approach. They're going to be distanced because they're not really sure how to connect to you. They're wondering why you're trying to prove to them that you're worth talking to. So you got to flip this completely. Instead of talking about yourself in this way, you want to lead with curiosity. And that might be an unexpected or silly question. Or you might say something, what's the most unexpected thing that happened to you this week? And that's going to get women thinking about other parts of their life. And that's going to light them up because that's different than how's your day going? My day is going fine. Thanks. How's yours? But what's the most unexpected thing that happened to you this month? Well, maybe she's going to then unlock a story that's going to start connecting you two. She might tell you a silly story about how her dog stole a whole steak off the counter, right? And suddenly you're both laughing and you're both relaxed and you're both feeling way more connected. This guy's is charisma. It's sparking a story in her instead of pitching yourself. You don't need to pitch yourself. If you don't believe you're already a worthy partner, a worthy catch, then you need to fix your mindset first so that your behaviors aren't trying to win somebody over in the first conversation or on the first date. It's a big, big mistake that many men make. Instead, you want to be leading with curiosity, not a resume. Now, in fact, this is something that I see very often in the way men or you guys write about yourselves in dating profiles. They end up being more of a list of things versus, snippets of your life or story snippets. And so if you're really struggling with the way your dating profile is being presented, I actually just recently created a high impact masterclass where I completely help you revolutionize your online dating profile. If you're interested, have a look. There's a link in the YouTube descriptions if that's something that you feel stuck on and want to unravel. Okay? But what I want to talk now about is tip number 2. So, yes, the first tip is to be curious instead of listing things like a resume. And tip number 2 is to really understand the art and use storytelling to connect to somebody. Facts fall flat. Okay, stories spark connection. In fact, as humans, we've connected to each other through centuries through stories. They passed through generations. Stories of things that we remember. And if you're the kind of guy that messages women online and she says, "What are things you like to do for fun?" And you say, "I like cooking." Then she's going to go, "Okay, now what?" You're making it hard for her to respond to you for one, and two, that's not a very interesting response. It's a factual response. You might like that. But if you compare that to using these questions as opportunities to tell small stories, you could say something like, "Oh, last week I was trying to make homemade pizza, but I fumbled and I dropped the whole thing of dough onto the ground. But I still made it though, right?" 5-second rule. Like, be playful. Have a little opportunity to inject a miniature story that's true about your life into these things. And you know which answer do you think is actually going to get a woman laughing and leaning in, right? Obviously the second one. If you just say you like cooking, she's going to think that maybe she's going to assume that maybe your life is a little bit boring. And maybe it is or maybe it isn't, but you didn't give her a whole lot of information to go on. So women do not remember the fact that you cook. They remember the story that makes you human, that makes you playful, that makes you real, things that are in fact memorable. Even if it's just about dropping your pizza dough on the ground, it's better than "I just like cooking." Okay? So, tip number 3, guys, listen to a woman like she is the only person in the entire room, entire world. Charismatic men don't just talk well or ask good questions. That's what I'm talking about. Storytelling, yours and hers, being curious, but it's also about how you listen. Now, we all know the person that's gone on a date and they've kind of just like checked their phone or they've looked at their watch or they kind of look around the room because maybe they're getting a little bit bored, or you think you're being subtle because maybe whatever this woman is saying to you, you don't find hugely interesting in the moment. But tell them if a woman starts to feel invisible, you've completely lost a connection. But oh no, and to contrast this to something else. And I think about the time when I really, really use this example of the first date with my partner over and over again, because the more I've analyzed it, the more I realized he did so many things well, which is why even in the beginning of the date when he first arrived, I thought I just didn't think that I was going to leave getting to know him at all. I don't know why. I just had an impression that that was clearly wrong. And throughout the evening or throughout our date, more and more and more did I feel connected to him. And that's because he gave me his full attention. When I was talking, he was really engaged. He was listening. And when I would ask him questions too, he would pause and he would really sink in what I was asking him. And he'd be very deliberate about how he responded. And he was really taking things in. He wasn't rushing. And, he often would repeat part of what I said just to make sure and clarify. And I really started to feel, not consciously at the time, but in my soul, in my heart, I was like, wow, I feel like a special person. I feel like he really cares about what I have to say. And online, it can be the same thing for you guys too. Because if a woman says that she loves hiking and doesn't giving you a lot of contacts, you don't want to just reply, "Oh, that's nice." You can say, "Okay, well, that's amazing. What's the best trail you've ever hiked?" You listen, you show that you've heard her, and that's what's going to make you magnetic. Now, you can do this with your body language as well, which is to honestly position yourself in a way that you really are listening to her, that you're making eye contact, that things that are happening around you are inconsequential to the beautiful woman that's revealing herself to you in front of you. And this is why listening, like she's the only person in the room, is going to make her feel special. It's going to make her feel like something about her is lighting you up, which makes her feel good. And I talk about how one of the psychological factors of creating desire in women is that women are also feeling desire. Desire is this reciprocal thing. If you desire me and I desire you, now we're getting somewhere, right? Desire has got to be a two-way street. So when you feel like all this beautiful attention's on you, not in a threatening way, not you're staring her down, but you're really engaged. Like the server could come up and ask for drinks, and you're like, "What? Oh, I didn't even notice you because I'm caught in this woman's beautiful eyes, right?" Then she's going to feel like you really are attuned to her and like you care. You care about this time with her. You care about what she has to say, and that is going to make her feel really, really special. Now, the last tip here that I want to share with you guys is to play with this idea of contrast. You want to mix depth and lightness in your conversation. If everything is going really, really serious, like for some reason, even though you shouldn't, you got on the topic of like exartners or how stressful the world is, or you just change jobs and you get into like the meat of the seriousness of this, then the date will feel serious too, because it's all about the feelings, right? It might even, in fact, start feeling like an interrogation. Now, if you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to make things too serious, so I lean the opposite direction of being too kind of jokey. Well, that can come across as feeling too shallow. So, charisma really lives in the balance between the two. And I remember actually, it was a client talking to me about how a woman did this to him. But she basically said that she came to the date with like a list of questions. Which I mean that just sucks the fun out of dating, doesn't it? When someone comes with a list of things they want to know about you. And that's exactly, he told me that he felt like it was an interview. And so you don't want to do this the other way around, right? And even though, a lot of people are trying to take dating seriously and really find their special person, If you come to a date with a list of questions, then you're really not there to connect. You're there to gather information for whatever is going on, right? So don't do that, right? And so don't make things too serious and don't make things too light. And so what does it look like to practice both? Well, you can tease a woman a little bit, right? And I talk all about this in a flirting video that goes way into more detail, how to balance this kind of EB and flow of light and dark or, serious and not so serious. But you might joke playfully about a woman ordering a fancy cocktail. So there's a little bit of this lightheartedness, but then you follow it up with asking her a really deep question about, what would she do if she was planning a perfect getaway? Where would she go? So there's this teasing lightheartedness about like the silly little drink she ordered, or I can't. Oh, of course, I suspected that you were a martini girl when she orders something different, or whatever you want to say. That's a little lighthearted and playful. And then you contrast that with something of substance. And of course, that's going to get women to laugh a little bit. It's going to get them to open up about things that are important to them, like a dream trip. And that's the dance that you can affect with women that make them, find you irresistible. It's mixing this light banter with real curiosity, which is tip number one, that curiosity. So, to go between the two of them, if you've had a period of time where things have been really serious, you need to contrast that with something light, or you risk leaving the date on that really serious note or on that really overly jokey note. And that's not what women are really going to connect. Just know what you're going to tack to if you're looking at it the opposite way. So, those are four really important tips that I want you guys to keep in mind. Now, I promised I was to share a couple little psychological hacks for charisma if you stuck to the end. And the first one is the 7030 rule. So listen 70% of the time, talk 30% of the time, but make your 30% vivid, compelling, engaging, contrasting, storytelling, curiosity, not dull, factual, linear. Okay, name magic. Tip number two, right? Use name magic. Use her name naturally. It's going to light her brain up like a dopamine hit. Like if I said Roger or I said Mike or I said Tim, like when I'm on a date with you or I say to my partner now, if I say my partner's name, he's like, what's wrong? Am I in trouble? But in the beginning, as I'm getting to know him, I'm like, wow, Andrew, that's really special. He's like, oh my God, my brain is lighting up. I got this dopamine going on. This person is connecting with me. It's like we know each other. There's a sense of familiarity. I also want you to use the power of pausing. So naturally, when we're anxious, we rush to fill silences. But a pause shows deliberation, confidence, and creates intrigue. Now, if you're not good at pausing, you can force yourself to pause. And you can do that by, let's say, a woman asked you, you've asked her a bunch of great questions, you've shared some story anecdotes and things like that. And then she asks you a question back like, okay, well, I love talking about travel with you. Well, if you got on a plane tomorrow and could go anywhere, where would you go? And immediately answer, no, pause. And if you're not really good at pausing, then I'm going to grab my drink. Grab your drink. Think about it for a second. Look up in your brain like you're accessing information. Have a sip of your water or your wine or your cocktail or whatever you're drinking. Think about it for a minute and then answer. A pause is such a great thing to do that shows confidence. It creates intrigue. It shows that you're deliberately thinking about a response, not just trying to fill the silence. and she's going to be waiting in anticipation for your answer. And there is nothing better than a man who doesn't rush his talking all the time. That can really enjoy and isn't awkward in a moment of silence, and can just think and be like, if I was going to go anywhere tomorrow, it wouldn't be somewhere new. In fact, I would go back to the place where I remember having the best experience of my life, just to see if I could recreate it. And then he would tell you where that is. And that's what I was thinking about just then. So that's the power of pausing. You can play with quick paced conversations to then slowing things down to back to quick and fun, and flirty to slowing things down. And this ebb and flow creates this push pull dynamic that just makes a date and a connection with you feel so much better. Okay? The fourth little hack here is called energy transfer, and it's something that Chase Hughes, who I've referred to many times, actually teaches, and he's like a human behavior specialist, and he was a an interrogator. He teaches people to mirror your state. So this is kind of what I was getting at a moment before with this kind of energy. But energy transfer is very much about mirroring, and I talk about mirroring in more depth in my flirting videos. I got a couple of them out there. Go check them out if you'd like. But energy transfer is all about if you're calm, if you're curious, if you're playful, she will feel that too. And if you're noticing, by the way, that a woman is getting a little bit anxious or she's moving too quick, you don't need to match that energy. What you do is you match it initially and then you take the pace down a notch. So she talked really fast about something because she got really nervous. You can talk really fast about something, but then you slow it all down, and she's going to get invited into that. And that's going to calm things down, and that's what happens when you can mirror. You can actually lead her state into one that's a little more enjoyable, or she'll start to take the influence, right? And then she'll start to take the influence of yours. So if you're calm, you're curious, you're playful, she'll feel it too. You're flirty, if you're laughing and you're having fun, she will feel it too. So this is energy transfer. So guys, when you build conversational charisma by learning these things, which wouldn't take you much time to really understand and master, then women don't just like what you say, they remember how they felt with you. I felt like I had such a great time. And attraction always, 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 always lives in the feelings, never in the facts. And charisma is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about being curious. It's about being human. It's about letting people into the little stories of your life. It's about asking silly questions. It's about having fun with it. And this is something you can do online and offline, guys. Now, if you really do want some help with this, you feel really stuck in this, you're welcome. If you're ready at this point in time, if you watch some of my videos or you know that you need some support and guidance in your life, you are totally welcome to book a complimentary call with me. We'll see if we're a good fit to work together. If not, we can maybe send some other resources or point you in some other directions. But this is definitely the kind of stuff that I work with my clients. But honestly, guys, you can have better conversations by really expanding what you talk about, how curious you are, the EB and flow of energies, and really weaving in some fun storytelling. One layer deeper is to leave a little cliffhanger. I'll tell you, I'll tell you how that story ended later if you're lucky. That's flirting. So you could actually, maybe this video, as I'm thinking about it, this video in combination with my flirting video are probably like two good videos to intertwine and take some great lessons from so you can enjoy your conversations. so you can have a great connection with the woman that's going to lead to the next date, which really opens up the possibility of truly getting to know one another to see if you would be a great team for a relationship. So guys, I'm off. I'm off to celebrate my birthday this weekend. I hope you guys found this video enjoyable. I know it was a little bit longer. Sorry, I got talking a little bit. And that's what happens when I do these in one take without any editing. So forgive me if I was a little long-winded, but thanks very much for sticking around. And I look forward to bringing you guys some more content next week. I'd love to hear your comments. Was this helpful? Was this refreshing? Did this give you one little thing to take away and try? Did you enjoy this topic? Do you want to hear other things being talked about on this channel that you feel are more relevant perhaps to what's going on in dating? Please let me know. I'm always here to be of service to you guys. And if you want to book a call, I'd be happy to hear from you and get to know you. And until next time, guys. Ciao.